Hi there and welcome. This is Jeff Lewis from Tech here, where I help run our sales and delivery. Integration is the key to the intelligent enterprise, and we believe that to design, build, and deploy these integrations, you need to combine technology, data modeling, and business process knowledge. This is what we call business integration, and this is the sole focus of our company. Our business integration approach has helped us successfully complete a variety of different implementations, pioneer bleeding edge technology, and complete the first global side-by-side implementation, and also perform some of the largest migrations worldwide. Thank you for joining our webcast today on integration considerations when you move to EC and EC Payroll. We will highlight the preparations to begin that move. I have with me today Chen, one of our senior architects, and he'll be speaking about our experiences with clients and how these integrations affect them and their SAP HCM and Payroll data. You will also get recommendations for the migration and some key takeaways. Please also note that at the end of this presentation, you will find our email addresses for any questions and/or comments, as well as a link to our website, www.comintech.com, where you will find links to other webcasts and pertinent information. Once again, thank you for your time and consideration. Without further ado, please welcome TJ Chen.
Thank you, Jeff. So first, I want to quickly talk about a little bit about our background and why do we call ourselves a business integration design company. So at the beginning, we already see that integration is a pain point for a lot of projects for a lot of companies, and it is always overseen. And in the end, what causes a project to fail is the integration doesn't really work well. So we come up with the idea that we need to combine the technology with the data model and also the business process together to make sure the integration we design and we deliver is robust. And the integration, therefore, we call our approach the business integration. And what we have done is we have done many successful global integrations with many companies. And throughout that experience that we learned that the approach we come up with is actually working, because the ideas won't be feasible or won't be valid if it's not being proven throughout the projects. So we used our knowledge and our ideas and we proved them throughout the years in different projects, and then we at the same time we realized we can actually package all the success and experience into our product to make sure more people can enjoy our success and experience without encountering all the roadblocks we have for the past couple of years. That is just a little bit about our background with the integration. So what do you expect? What can you expect from this webinar? Mainly today we will cover the things that we should consider on the integration side that when you decide to move to Employee Central and Employee Central Payroll, and what are the options that we recommend and what you're going to see when you do this type of implementation. And specifically at the beginning of the phase, what we should pay attention to, and certain things people always ignore them, but it's actually crucial for the success of this implementation. And of course, every company and organization, they have their own specific configurations, customizations, and constraints. So if you have any questions directly towards us, then we can book a office hour to discuss your project or your needs in one-on-one. So who will benefit from this webinar? It's mainly for people who is currently deciding to do the project, that they're going to move the HCM and payroll system from on-premise to SuccessFactors, Employee Central Payroll. the people who is moving them, and also the people who wants to know what's the best way to do this type of project. Those people will be benefiting from this webinar. Therefore, what is the first thing that we want to do? It may seem to be very obvious that the first thing we want to do is actually create a whole inventory of all the integrations for your system. When you move from on-premise to the cloud, when you move your HCM to Employee Central and your payroll to Employee Central Payroll, there's a lot of downstreaming activities that will be impacted because the source of the system will be moved. The one thing will be Employee Central will be the source of record for your employee data. And then a lot of third-party integrations need to be moved away from the on-premise system. And in this process, you will actually have a big picture about how many integrations are involved, what is the scope of and complexity of the integration part of the project, and also gives you an idea what are some dependencies among the process and what integrations needs to be done first and what integrations can be done later. That gives you an idea by having inventory on your hand at the beginning of the phase. The reason why we want to first focus on this is because we don't want any integrations come out in the middle of the project and say, hey, we are missing this interface because we need this after the payroll run, or we need this before the payroll run. So we want to have a clear picture and full scope of all the integrations that might impact our payroll at the beginning of the project. And this will also help you define your cutover process and also drive your implementation and arranging your resource on different part of the project. So that's why the first thing we want to point out is have an inventory created before you actually start the implementation. Then when you move your data from on-premise system to EC or EC Payroll, you have many options here. I'm just listing out two options here, and I just want to compare them to give you an idea what are the advantages and disadvantages of different options and what we should do when we move data. So the first option we see here is we copy the data and also the payroll configuration into the Employee Central Payroll first. Then we move the data from the Employee Central Payroll system to SuccessFactors, mainly the employee data. After that, we do the third-party integrations, either directly coming from the Employee Central Payroll or the SuccessFactors, or vice versa. The option two, what we can do is we copy the data and configuration into the Employee Central Payroll system, and at the same time, we migrate the data from the on-premise HCM into Employee Central. By comparing these two options, you can see that for the option one, we have a dependency on the step of we need to first get data into the Employee Central Payroll first, and then move the data from there. But the option two has the advantage of you can do both the moving data to EC and EC Payroll at the same time. So it gives you a little bit advantage on when you move the data, you don't have to wait on another team to first finish and the copy into Employee Central Payroll system. So you can do two activities in parallel if you have the resource and time. And here, when you do the migration of the data, we strongly recommend that you use the built-in solution for moving data from on-premise to the Employee Central, which is the SAP Business Integration Builder. It comes with the Employee Central license, and that is the standard tool that SAP supports to move your data into the SuccessFactors Employee Central, and we highly recommend everybody to use that tool instead of coming up with third-party solutions or moving data using CSVs and stuff. And when we migrating data into Employee Central, this itself is a whole big topic. And then here I'm just going to highlight a couple points. And the number one is also have a scope, have a visibility on what you're gonna do. So we call it plan on a page. Do we have a plan on page to make sure that how many iterations we want to do and how those different activities, different phases of the project impact other work streams and activities? That this also correlate with the inventory, the integration inventory we talked about early on, that when you know the full scope of the integrations and when you have a plan on a page, then you will see how different pieces fits in this puzzle, and you can figure things out better and you can coordinate better throughout the project instead of keep coming up with surprises and have new integrations coming up or having delays. Then you also know the impact of what are the delays going to cost you. When you move data to Employee Central, the data model, you have to think about how you're going to map things, because the SAP on-premise system, they use info types, but on Employee Central, they use different entities. Those are two different data models. That means we have to define the transformation logic, the mapping logic, and the scope of the fields we want to use ahead of the implementation. And ideally, this is done way ahead of the implementation so that your time and your business can refine them instead of keep refining them during the project. That means your implementation team needs to redo the work again while the business team is refining the business requirements. And one specific topic, employee history record, that is also a business design decision that people needs to make in the beginning of the project when we move the data, how much history we want to keep on Employee Central. That determines on how the migration logic works. That also determines the cutover date, the full transformation starting, all those specific topics. But that's not the purpose of this call. What I want to point out is migrate data to Employee Central is a whole big topic on its own from the integration perspective. And we already have some tips and tricks that to ensure success migration. And we also put a link to our webcast to that one writing this presentation, so you can also check out that webcast. And I just want to emphasize again that use the SAP Business Integration Builder (BIP) to migrate your data and don't use third-party solutions if possible. So when you have the data in Employee Central, and now we are thinking about, okay, what about other third-party applications like your time and your benefit applications, your identity management application? How do we integrate with all those? Because all those were coming from the on-premise system. But now EC is a new source of record. So everything should potentially come from EC or Employee Central Payroll, depends on the data. So here there's a mindset shift. A lot of cases that we encounter is we just want to copy the interface and then do minimal changes and still hope that everything still works. That is a mindset we need to change, because EC will be the new source of record. And if we can avoid every interface coming out from the Employee Central Payroll system, we should avoid that, simply because if we do that, then we have a dependency. We have to rely on the successful replication or integration between Employee Central and Employee Central Payroll. So if there is integrations you can do directly with Employee Central, then we should do that first. And then on Employee Central, we have integration center that can fulfill some integration needs, and we highly recommend also using the SAP Cloud Platform integration to do your third-party integrations. This is also in the cloud system, and it is very well integrated with Employee Central Payroll. So we highly recommend using those tools. So other considerations when you do the integration is your EC data quality determines your EC payroll data quality. This is also a mindset shift that when EC becomes your source of record, then people should always thinking about, okay, how can I make EC data fix first instead of directly going into the EC payroll system and fix things. Because whatever we fix on the EC payroll system will be overwritten by the EC data when the integration happens. And then we also need to think about during the project and also after the project, how do we monitor and resolve all the integration issues? What are the monitoring solutions? What are the ongoing solutions that we can make sure that all the integrations that we have, either it's just EC to EC payroll or EC to third party, EC payroll to third party, how can we properly maintain them and also make sure that everything is okay pretty much on a daily, weekly, monthly basis? Those are the questions we need to ask ourselves before we kick off the project. So I know this is a very high level introduction, and from the integration perspective, it's also very high level questions and key points. But from this webinar, the key takeaways would be you probably want to do the inventory of your integrations as one of the first steps before you kick off anything else, because you don't want to see surprises that certain critical interface we forgot to talk about it, and then we have to insert into your plan in the middle of the project. And you also probably want to consider you leveraging as many as possible the SAP standard tools instead of third-party tools to migrate your data. And make sure also you design your integration solutions based on the SAP leading practices, which you can find on your community, SAP communities. And there's a lot of articles also online to talk about what is SAP leading practices. And you probably also want to stay inside the SAP cloud ecosystem, which means you have the Employee Central, you have the Employee Central Payroll, then you probably want to get the cloud platform integration, the CPI, to do all your integrations. Thank you. That will be all the key points that I want to mention in this presentation. And now I'm handing this over to Jeff.
Thank you, TJ. That's an awesome job and excellent information. It's definitely the type of information that our clients need to know, right? Because this really showcases the importance of the employee and their data, and keeping in mind that the employee experience is at the forefront with SAP SuccessFactors and EC and ECP. So we appreciate it very much. And again, TJ, great job. We appreciate everybody attending this webcast and joining it and viewing it. We also want to make sure we reiterate that if you have any questions and comments to us directly, please visit our website at www.comentech.com, or you can contact myself, Jeff Lewis, or TJ Chen at comentech.com, and our email addresses are below and our phone numbers. We appreciate your time again, and thank you, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you.